There are some stories that don't fade with time, they wait. Hidden behind fame, behind applause, behind carefully crafted smiles. And sometimes, decades later, the truth finally breaks through. This is one of those stories. A story about a woman the world admired, and the secret that quietly shaped her life. Because behind the spotlight, she wasn't just a star. She was a storm no one truly understood. She was born in the early 1900s, in a quiet part of Virginia. From the very beginning, life didn't make things easy for her. Her legs were weak, fragile, and every step felt like a struggle. While other children ran freely, she stayed inside, watching the world from a distance. Years passed before she could even join other kids. And by then, something inside her had already changed. Her parents lived by strict rules. Status mattered. Appearances mattered. They wanted her to grow into a refined young lady, surrounded only by people of the same social class. But she had a different kind of fire in her. As she grew stronger, she broke those invisible boundaries. She ran through the streets, laughed with children her parents disapproved of, and chose freedom over perfection. It embarrassed her family, but it made her feel alive. By the late 1920s, her path became clear. While her parents dreamed of high society dinners and polished manners, she chose something else entirely. She left home, alone, determined. She moved to Boston to study acting and dance, chasing a dream her family didn't believe in. And when they tried to stop her by cutting off financial support, she didn't go back. She worked. She struggled. She survived. And then, everything began to change. On a small stage, during a university production, she landed a role that would quietly shape her future. One of her co-stars was a young man, equally unknown at the time. In one scene, she had to slap him. And she didn't hold back. Every rehearsal, every performance. The slap was real, sharp, unexpected. It became a running joke later. But in that moment, it did something else. It made an impression. Through him, she was introduced to his closest friend. A quiet, thoughtful young man. The kind who didn't speak much, but felt deeply. The three of them became inseparable. Long conversations, late nights, big dreams. They were just young artists trying to find their place in a world that didn't yet know their names. But feelings don't stay hidden forever. The quieter one eventually gathered the courage to speak. Slowly, nervously, he told her how he felt. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't confident. But it was real. And for a moment, it seemed like something might begin. But she hesitated. Not because she didn't care, but because she wasn't sure. And gently, she said no. Then everything shifted again. The other friend stepped forward. Confident. Direct. And this time, she said yes. What followed was intense. Fast. Passionate. They married during the winter, in what seemed like the beginning of a beautiful story. But sometimes, passion burns too quickly. Their personalities clashed. Silence met fire. Distance met honesty. And within weeks, it was over. The marriage ended almost as quickly as it began. But her story was only just starting. By the early 1930s, her name began to echo in theater circles. People noticed her, not just for her talent, but for her presence. She wasn't trying to fit in. She wasn't trying to impress. She was simply herself. And that's exactly what made her unforgettable. Soon, the film industry came calling. At first, she resisted. She didn't trust the system. She didn't want to lose control of her choices. But eventually, she agreed, on her terms. And when she arrived in the film world, she didn't behave like others. No glamour. No pretending. She wore what she wanted. Said what she wanted. Refused to change even the smallest details about herself. Some admired her. Others feared her. She challenged authority. Spoke her mind. And never backed down. Even in tense situations, when emotions ran high, she stood firm. There were stories, intense arguments, moments that only added to her growing legend. People began to see her not just as an actress, but as a force. Her first major film brought her anxiety. She doubted herself, feared failure, even tried to walk away from it all. But when the film was released, something unexpected happened. People loved it. They saw something real in her performance, something honest. And from that moment, there was no turning back. But behind the success, something else was unfolding. She worked closely with a director, someone just as strong-willed as she was. They argued constantly, clashed over decisions. Nothing came easy between them. And yet, somewhere in that tension, something changed. What started as conflict slowly turned into connection, and before anyone expected it, they married. But peace didn't last. Around this time, she reconnected with the quiet friend from her past, the one who had once confessed his feelings. She believed in him, saw something others didn't. She pushed for him to get a role in a film she was part of. When others doubted him, she stood firm. And eventually, he was given the chance. She didn't stop there. She guided him, coached him, helped him find his confidence. Late nights, long conversations, quiet support. Slowly, he transformed, became stronger, more natural. And those small moments shaped the career he would later be known for. But not everyone was comfortable with it. Her husband noticed the time they spent together, the connection they shared. And soon, whispers began to spread. Rumors, doubts, tension. What was once a marriage built on intensity began to fall apart. And eventually it did. What happened next surprised everyone. Instead of choosing the man who clearly cared for her, she moved on, married someone else entirely. A new chapter, a new hope. For a while, it worked. She had children, built a family, lived a quieter life. But even that didn't last. Betrayal found its way in. Trust was broken. And once again, she walked away. This time, with scars that ran deeper than before. Years passed, and the weight of everything she had carried began to show. Her children, caught between two worlds, made a choice that shattered her. They wanted to live with their father. For any parent, that's painful. For her, it was devastating. She broke. Completely. The strong, fearless woman who once stood against powerful figures now found herself overwhelmed by grief. She sought help, tried to recover, tried to hold on. But there was something else she had been hiding. Her hearing was fading. Slowly, quietly, relentlessly. For an actress, it was terrifying. The very thing she relied on slipping away. And with it, her sense of control, her identity, her confidence. Depression followed. Long nights, silence, isolation. The world that once celebrated her now felt distant. She found some stability later in life, with someone who offered calm instead of chaos. But the struggles never fully left her. And then, years later, a truth emerged.